Mr. Chairman, thanks for recognizing me. I've said it many times this week, and I'll say it again. The legislation before us today, H.R. 4606, the Ensuring Small-Scale LNG Certainty and Access Act, will help the United States fully realize its economic potential regarding small-scale liquefied natural gas exports and associated technologies. This bill addresses current permitting concerns, but it's also forward-looking. H.R. 4606 will help the United States to grow as a reliable, trusted trading partner. It can help reduce trade deficits, promote new job opportunities at home, and strengthen ties with our allies abroad. Specifically, this bill provides that applications under the Natural Gas Act for the importation or exportation of small volumes of natural gas will be granted without delay, but only if they do not require an environmental assessment under the Environmental Policy Act. This means that both FERC and DOE must continue to fully comply with NEPA regulations and that they must evaluate the potential direct and indirect impacts, consult with other agencies, and receive public input. Importantly, this bill is the product of bipartisan compromise and work. During markups at the House Energy and Commerce Committee, Representative Gene Green and I worked together so that both sides of the aisle could support this common sense legislation. I appreciate his hard work, along with the work of many of my other colleagues. And as a result, this bill has support from a diverse group of stakeholders, including the Center for Liquefied Natural Gas, the National Association of Manufacturers, the Laborers International Union of North America, the American Petroleum Institute, and Citizens for Responsible Energy Solutions. Now, as the representative for rural eastern and southeastern Ohio, I've long recognized the benefits of excess natural gas exports. Because of the shale gas boom, new opportunities are emerging for Ohio and the surrounding states virtually daily as ethane cracker plants and ethane storage hubs begin to take shape. And reports show that this trend will only continue, as one study predicts that the region has sufficient ethane feedstock to support up to 5 ethane cracker plants. These opportunities are huge and have become viable thanks to new technologies that have led to an increase in natural gas production. But it's also due to an increase in production resulting from the growing demand for excess U.S. natural gas. In fact, natural gas production is at an all-time high, and reserves are so large that they are predicted to meet domestic demand for almost a century. Ohio alone reached new highs in October of 2017 as natural gas production reached 5.5 billion cubic feet per day. H.R. 4606 can play a role in furthering America's economic progress by allowing our domestic producers and gas providers to export small quantities of natural gas to neighboring countries in a more efficient manner. And don't misunderstand this. There is an interest for U.S. natural gas in the Caribbean, Central America, and South America, although not in the quantities that the current large-scale domestic exporting facilities were built to address via conventional liquefied natural gas tankers. This bill will help our job creators meet that demand and take full advantage of our economic opportunities throughout our Western Hemisphere. And with the certainty provided by H.R. 4606, companies currently in operation or those exploring new small-scale possibilities will be incentivized to move forward with new investments with the increased certainty provided by H.R. 4606. This is especially important considering that the Dominican Republic is the only country in the Caribbean with a free trade agreement that can get our excess natural gas easily. And as Puerto Rico continues to rebuild after the devastating hurricane in 2017, increased shipments and availability of small-scale American LNG can help the island meet its energy needs. H.R. 4606 will also better allow our domestic providers the opportunity to deliver a stable source of U.S. energy to countries currently reliant on Venezuelan fuel oil, which has been used to gain influence within countries throughout the region. This effort to increase U.S. energy opportunities within this area of the world is not new, as the previous administration also sought increased engagement through the creation of the Caribbean Energy Security Initiative. Similarly, the Department of Energy recently issued a final rule very similar to H.R. 4606. Now, I'd like to quickly address a few concerns that we've heard about this bill during debate. Some of my colleagues have said that the bill is unnecessary because it would replicate a Department of Energy regulation that was recently finalized, while at the same time arguing that this bill would lead to an unrestricted natural gas export policy with dire consequences. Well, I disagree with both of those statements, as it's important for Congress to exercise its authority and not leave policy solely up to the administration. And this bill by no means promotes an unrestricted policy. But what's telling about these conflicting statements is that they simply cannot both be true at the same time, and it leads me to question the sincerity behind the statements. Additionally, I've heard arguments that this bill could allow companies to skip the review process for larger projects by splitting them into smaller pieces. Now, these LNG companies are building to economies of scale. These are expensive projects. The financial viability of stacking or combining many small-scale trains is simply not viable, and the operating costs would surely cause the cost of gas to be uncompetitive in the global market. Madam Chairwoman, the benefits of natural gas exports are clear. As numerous Department of Energy studies and various independent studies have concluded, they are a net positive to our U.S. economy. These studies have found that LNG exports support thousands of American jobs, many of them within manufacturing. In fact, the Department of Energy once again highlighted the benefits of LNG exports with a study it released in June. This study, which is in addition to 4 other studies commissioned by the DOE since 2012, presented additional data that demonstrates how LNG exports are a net benefit to our economy. With U.S. natural gas reserves as large as they are, and with new technological advancements allowing our producers to access an increasing amount of natural gas each and every day, it's imperative that the United States takes full advantage of this important and abundant energy resource. H.R. 4606 is a step in that direction. It will strengthen U.S. geopolitical ties, increase job creation, and promote domestic economic growth as a result. I hope all of my colleagues will join me in supporting this important bipartisan legislation today. And with that, I yield back.
The gentleman from Ohio yields back.